Welcome to the Elaborate Topics podcast, where we focus on lab-specific strategies for medical laboratory professionals. We're proud to be the healthcare detectives that work behind the scenes to get the results needed to influence medical decisions. Let's grow together and jump right into the lab.
The clock is counting down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Well, not quite, but 2024 is only 55 days away. And what better time to start planning for a successful year than today, right now? Welcome to Elaborate Topics. I am your host and leadership mentor for this episode, Tywauna Wilson. On this episode, I want to talk to you about reaching your peak potential in 2024. I am going to give you some strategies, some tips to keep you motivated to accomplish your goals in the new year. What better time to start planning than today? Because as we know, if you prepare to plan, if you fail to plan, prepare to fail. So, want to make sure that you are off to a fast start so that you are motivated. Every year, January 1st comes around, and whether you're setting your health and fitness goals, your professional goals, by then it is already too late because you're trying to jump into action where you have not thought through what you want to accomplish for the year. You get midway through the month, and guess what? Your motivation has already started to fizzle. So today I'm going to break down a simple 5-step method to help you go from idea to actionable plan in 30 days, or you could do it on a weekly base, and I'll break it up into 5 weeks. So 5 step-by-step plan. This way you'll have some targeted effort and preparation, and you can create momentum and hit the ground running as you go into the new year. Before we get into our plan of what we want to accomplish in the new year, just want to make sure you like, subscribe to this podcast, follow us, Elaborate Topics. You can find our group on LinkedIn. We're also on LabVine's Vine Stream and your favorite podcast platform. So be sure to share this episode out. Be sure to share it with a colleague, a family member, and if you want to be a guest on this show, reach out to me. I would love to talk with you. You can also fill out our guest interest form. The first part of figuring out your 2024 plan is figuring out what it is that you want to develop, what it is that you want to have a goal for. I'm going to give you some practical things that you can think about as far as your goal planning so that you can plug those into our 5-step method as we get to that part of the podcast. So whether you want to develop your leadership skills, we talk a lot about leadership development on this podcast. And what that might look like from a goal planning perspective is enrolling in a formal leadership training program. There are organizations that offer training programs, leadership development programs. Our professional societies all offer some sort of leadership development program, whether it's virtual or whether it's hybrid. The American College of Healthcare Executives offer one. American Management Association offer leadership training program. Your local commerce might have one where they will have a leadership development program or emerging leaders program that you can get involved with. You can also join local chapters of some of these societies, whether it is the American College of Healthcare Executive, so that you can have access to seminars, mentorship opportunities. ASCP, the American Society for Clinical Pathology, now has local chapters, so there could be a local chapter in your group that you might want to get involved with. You can also read influential books. I am an avid reader. I love reading books. So, books is always a way to help you develop your leadership skills. If you are just starting out on your leadership journey, I would highly recommend The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. And if you are a people developer, you are a manager, I would recommend Multipliers by Liz Wiseman. So those are two books that I would recommend. There are tons of leadership and professional development books out there, but those are two that I would recommend getting started with. If you are looking to build your network for 2024, maybe you say my big thing is enhancing my network so I can increase my relationship currency, then attending key industry conferences is a good way to start that. In episode 38, getting ready for your next big conference, and I'll link it in the show notes, we listed several conferences and dates that will be happening in 2024. Myself, along with my co hosts, Lona Small and Stephanie Whitehead, will actually get to meet all of us in person at the Lab Manager Summit, which will be held in Denver this year at the end of April. So that's one conference that you can attend. I would love to see your faces there. LabVine has their seasonal transformation school as well as their leadership school that they offer virtual for a global audience twice a year. There are also uh, ASCPs. The CLMA part of it will do Knowledge Lab. That is also in April. The ASCP annual meeting is in September. ASCLS's Jam is in June, I believe. But I will link these conferences in the show notes so that you are able to. I'll link the episode that we talked about these conferences, and then that way you can go. But you can always do a search to find what conferences are coming up. One of the things that I would recommend is that you diversify. So I've given you some lab based conferences, but if you have some other interests, I would look for those conferences as well to make sure that you attend because that's going to help build your network. You can also follow people on LinkedIn and also on Twitter. So, some of your favorite laboratory leaders, you can follow them on LinkedIn and get connected with them there as well as on Twitter. So those are ways to build your network. But don't just follow, connect and engage with these leaders as well. If you want to just say enhance your communication skills, you might think about joining a local chapter of Toastmasters so that you're able to actively participate and practice your public speaking skills. If there are also other organizations that have speakers clubs where you can get some experience speaking and enhancing your communication. And there are also, which you might not think about, improv opportunities where you can think on the spot. They will give you a certain scenario and you have to think on the spot of how you would communicate a certain situation. So if you are creative and love drama, or love to be challenged in a creative way, then that's a good opportunity as well. And then I would say mock interviews, presentations, and asking for feedback is another way that you're able to get some communication skills or develop your communication skills. Maybe you say next year, I just want to focus on expanding my industry knowledge. Well, that's an awesome thing as well. With this, you can subscribe to scientific journals in our industry. Some of these journals include the critical values that ASCP puts out. You can go to the pathologist. That's another journal that you can research as well. So those are two industry or scientific journals. Again, this is not a comprehensive list, but this is just to get you thinking about some of the goals that you can put into place for 2024, especially if you want these goals to align with your professional or career goals. Maybe you say that continuing on with the industry knowledge, listening to podcasts. You've already taken the first step in listening to this podcast, Elaborate Topics. So thank you for being an avid listener. And if you stumbled upon it today, I hope you keep stumbling week after week to listen to many new episodes. There are also other industry podcasts. I'll give you a few that you can put on your list as a way to expand your knowledge. The ASCP's Inside the Lab podcast, ASCLS has Off the Bench. The People of Pathology have a podcast, which we've had Dennis Strink on here before. Let's Talk Micro podcast is another one. So, all things micro. ARUP's Lab Mind is another one that you can check out that is laboratory or clinical laboratory related. So those are ways that you can expand your industry knowledge. So those are a few ways professionally, but we also don't want to forget those personal goals that you might have. So put those on here as well. We have to take a holistic approach if we want to be successful with mind, body, and soul. So maybe think about if health and fitness, better eating habits, definitely put that on your list of ways that you can meal prep or meal plan. And maybe if you don't have time to cook, maybe that means investing in a meal prep or option where meals are prepared for you, especially if you're trying to meet certain goals. Maybe it's your fitness goals that you are planning for in 2024, where you don't necessarily want to lose weight, but you just want to be healthier, or you want to be able to run your first marathon. You have to plan to succeed. And so that's another way. Maybe it's just building upon the relationships that you have lost touch with over the years. You've gotten busy, it doesn't seem like there's much time, and you want to get back to connecting with people. So that could be one of your goals for 2024. So I feel like I've given you enough goals to think about, that you have enough to get started so that you can start to put together your 5 step action plan, so that before the holidays get started, you already have your plan and you are ready to go and be successful. So, the first part of our action plan is identify your priorities. So, if you think of this in weeks, I'm going to give it to you in ways that you can accomplish your 5 step action plan over a matter of weeks. So I'll give you a topic that you can do every week. And then that way, at the end of the 5 weeks, that you have your plan and you're ready to go. This way is bite sized, is actionable, and more than likely you will do it. And because it's easy to get done. So, week 1, which you can start this week if you want, and you'll be done before the middle of December, which will be great. So, week 1 or action 1 is to identify your priorities. Reflect on your skills, interests, and values. You could also think about your strengths, weaknesses as well, depending on what it is that you are choosing to focus on, whether it's professional or personal goals or a combination of both. You would want to review your past feedback and evaluations. This can give you a chance to see where you maybe had some opportunities for improvement as well. And then you want to identify 2 to 3 priority goals. These are goals that align with your priorities for growth. So you want to make sure you don't pick too many. If you pick 10 goals, 20 goals, the likelihood that you will accomplish all of them starts to decrease. So less, but more thorough, thought provoking activities is going to be better for you. So pick those 2 to 3 goals that you would like to work on for 2024 that either aligns with your priorities for personal or professional growth. So I really want you to focus on reflection, feedback review, and priority identification of those goals that you want to accomplish in 2024. Week 2 or step 2 is setting SMART goals. You want to clearly define the priority of your goals following the SMART framework. So you want to make sure that they are specific and measurable as possible. You want to make sure they are attainable. You want to make sure that they have a timeliness element as well to them. So research your industry. You could talk with peers, experts to understand what success looks like, but you want to identify it for yourself using those resources as example, and then brainstorm strategies in which you'll be able to achieve your goals. So you might have that goal of leadership development of wanting to complete a program. And in that, you want to research what leadership development programs are out there. You want to research maybe who went through them. What did they get out of the program? What does success look like for them? But ultimately, you have to define what success will look like for you if you achieve your SMART goals. Week three or step three is mapping out your plan. So you want to break down your goals into action steps and milestones. So you mapping out detailed plan of activities. What is it that you are going to do? What are the action steps? What are the milestones? Are there tools, training, coaching, mentors, or networks that you need to be able to execute your action steps? What investment or financial or funding opportunities are you going to need to be able to reach your goals? And don't be afraid to ask colleagues, family, mentors for help or support in this avenue as you are really starting to align your goals. If it's that leadership development program, as I talked about, you might need a letter of recommendation. You might need a reference letter. There could be a tuition fee associated with that program. So don't be afraid to ask for network for funding opportunities or for some assistance. So really getting clear on your plan. So take that this week, week number 3, to map out your plan. Step 4 or week 4 is scheduling time and resources. This is where you actually build your action plan into your calendar. As we all know, our calendars get full, right? There are tons of meetings, tons of activities, tons of things, and I'm using air quotes around things to do. So it's not a matter of if your calendar will get full. Your calendar will get full, but it's where you're spending your minutes. So take the time to build your action plan into your calendar, blocking out time for your goal activities. You want to set deadlines for each milestone because if there's no timeline piece to it, then you're going to be like, I can get to this next week, I can get to it tomorrow, I can get to it next month. You also want to add reminders to revisit your progress. This will help you keep motivated. You will stay enthused about your goals. You want to determine whatever metrics it is to track your progress. So if you said you wanted to read more books next year, well, what is the metric? Is it, one book a month? Is it 3 books a month? Is it 1 book a month and then have a book club or discussion around it? Is it lose weight, but you want to lose 3 pounds a month? What are those metrics? And how are you going to track your progress? You want to set up some systems of data collection and analysis. And I know that sounds like, whoa, this is really starting to get intense with the data collection, but we know that you need data. So how are you tracking? And this could be as simple with there are various goal planning apps with your phone. You could use different calendar apps with your phone to do. You could use a Trello. I like Trello. It's a software program, but you could create a Trello board to track your progress and your goals and set up your data collection there. You can use Excel. It doesn't, Microsoft Word, it doesn't have to be an extensive program, but you do need to have a system for data collection and analysis. And maybe it's good old pen and paper in a notebook. So with this, you want to focus on building into your calendar those activities, those deadlines, those goal planning activities so that it is accounted for and you are accountable to it. And then the last step 5 is reviewing your plan and refining as necessary. So you want to review your full plan and adjust the timelines and resources as needed. Because you might find that you were thinking you were going to go to a conference or a webinar, and maybe the webinar got pushed back, or maybe it got canceled. And so you might have to adjust your timeline. You want to share your timeline with somebody. Share your whole plan with somebody. It could be your manager, it could be a mentor, colleague, family member. You can ask for input on if it's feasible, if it's reasonable, especially if this is your first time doing a goal planning or setting activity. So you may want to make sure that it's reasonable, it's feasible with what you have going on in your life. You also you could print out your plan as a visual tracker. You may have it on your computer as a screensaver. So you want to be able to print it and see it, or have it where you have a visual representation of it. You might want to print it out and post it on your mirror, what your plan is. Have it in your car, have it in your phone, but you need to print it out or have a way to visually look at what your plan is as a visual tracker, because that is a great reminder of what you set out to do and to make sure that you are on target for what you will do. So the step 5 really focuses on finalizing your plan, getting some feedback on it, and then getting ready to implement. So with these 5 simple steps, you can be prepared to reach your peak potential in 24. Why? Because you're ready to excel. You already have a plan. You've already researched the time commitment. You've already researched the people that you need to help you be successful. You've already started to budget for that. So if you want to go to a conference, you know that a conference will take finances to be able to do that. You're right in the holiday season if you celebrate the holidays, where people may ask you what you want, and you could be able to share with them what your goals are, what your plans are. So again, now that you have your plan, you are ready to tackle 2024 right after the ball drops. With our 5-step plan, especially if you break it down into weeks, the first 2 weeks will help you focus on your strategy and your goals. That third week or middle week will help you with the actual planning of your goals. And then the last 2 weeks will help you to execute and make any adjustments. So I hope this 5-step action plan, and I will put it in the show notes, the actual 5-step plan. Step 1, identify your priorities. 2, setting SMART goals. 3, mapping out your plan. 4, scheduling the time in your calendar and getting the necessary resources. And then 5, review and make any adjustments or refine the plan. So I hope this was helpful for you. It's never too early to start thinking about what you can do in the next year. If you haven't read the book, The 12-Week Year, they actually focus on looking at the quarter before the next quarter even starts. So this is giving you an opportunity to start forecasting what you can do next year. I follow this pretty vibrant software company, and that's exactly what they do. They plan out their roadmap for 12 weeks at a time. And what they do is everything that's on that roadmap, they are committed to putting it into production within that next quarter. So they're giving you, this is our roadmap, this is what we have our developers working on. And it made me think, as I was planning to give you all these tips for today, is that what would happen if we treated our life and our goals, for our personal and professional goals, that exact same way? of being able to get off to that fast start. So I would love to hear some of your goals. Share them with me. You can send me a note on LinkedIn, Tywauna Wilson. Connect with me. Let me know what you're going to be working on for 2024. I know that I'm going to be intentional about doing my 5-step plan so that I'm ready to go into 2024 with a fast start as well. And I will share them with you once I map those out. I'll share those with you on my social media. So make sure that you follow me, Tywauna Wilson, on LinkedIn, or Coach T Wilson on all other social media platforms. That's at Coach T Wilson. So I would love to stay in touch with you about your goals, because I think when you have accountability, when you have a support circle, you are more likely to be able to succeed and reach those goals. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'll link some relevant other episodes in the show notes as well for you to make sure that you're able to get off to a fast start, get those promotions that you are looking for in 2024, get healthy and fit in 2024, develop those leadership skills in 2024, maybe even find your next new job in 2024, connect with your family members and build better relationships in 2024. But whatever it is, I hope that you are as able to do those things and are successful in doing them. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Elaborate Topics. Until next week, where myself, my co-host, Lona Smalls, Stephanie Whitehead, will come to you with another awesome topic from another awesome guest. Until next time, share with a friend, and we'll talk with you soon. Have an awesome day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Elaborate Topics, where your hosts discussed relevant strategies for laboratory professionals. Please subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and listen to us on directimpactbroadcasting.com. Stay tuned for another episode with information you can use to excel in your laboratory career.